And let me ask you a question. If you have three different families that you have a vendetta against and you want to send a strong message, would you go after each one of them individually, considering they live in different areas, and you could get caught before you completed all three tasks? Or if you knew the people that they loved the most were sitting in one house all together, and you could accomplish exactly what you want to accomplish in a matter of 10 minutes and with the right plan, not risk getting caught? Again, let me ask you, which way would you go? Now we've got TF in Spokane telling the Aryan family who set him up and why he lost the product. And at that exact same time, up in Spokane, now we've got the Fetty bros. And you can bet those Fetty bros are in contact with their newfound consorts in the Aryan family and their trafficking organization, letting them know what they would like to have happen to the people that put them away. A humongous collapse of the cryptocurrency market just 4 days prior to the atrocity was the perfect storm for motive number 3.
Hey y'all, so I recently came across the content creator by the name of Pavarotti on the YouTube channel J Ombre, and I have to address some of the stunning connections this guy has made as it fits perfectly into the theories we've been working on over here since shortly after the Kohberger arrest. In this video, I will detail motive number 1 of a series of events that took place in the fall of 2022. Specifically, I will introduce you all to what Pavarotti believes to be the missing puzzle piece or key to the motive here, and that is the Fetty Bros, a group of drug traffickers from Tacoma, Washington, who were sentenced to decades in prison on November 2nd, 2022 in federal court in Spokane. This was just 11 days before the attack. Now, this is all rather complex, but if you can follow along, I promise you will start to view this case with clarity and understanding. Do me a favor, if you learned something from this video, and if you haven't already, please go check out Pavarotti's channel. It's extremely well-researched, straight-to-the-point content. I just want to make sure I give full credit to this creator because I wouldn't have made these connections myself, so consider this sort of a repackaging of his information with a bit of further elaboration from my own personal research. With all that said, let's get into this new info and how it connects directly to our victims. The sequence of events begins in northern Idaho in May of 2021 with the separate, tragic fentanyl-related deaths of 2 young men from Coeur d'Alene. On May 10th, 2021, 15-year-old Michael Stable took what looked like a Percocet and was poisoned by a lethal dose of fentanyl. Notwithstanding extensive life-saving efforts, the young man was pronounced dead as a result of a fentanyl overdose. Not long after Michael's death, on May 31st of 2021, 20-year-old Gabriel Casper was shot to death in a drug deal gone wrong. During the investigation into the teen's overdose death, the DEA identified a Matthew Holmberg as the likely supplier of the fentanyl pills that caused the young man's death. Moreover, Holmberg and his associate, Denon Fitterer Usher, were involved in the shooting death of Gabriel Casper. This victim was found in a pool of blood in the middle of the road with multiple gunshot wounds. Text messages confirmed that the victim had arranged to purchase counterfeit oxy pills laced with fentanyl from Holmberg. In their text messages, Holmberg and Fitterer Usher stated they saw the life leave the victim's body and described their attempts to destroy evidence after the shooting. Ultimately, Fitterer Usher admitted they shot the victim inside their car during a drug deal gone bad. According to Holmberg and Fitterer Usher, the victim pulled out a firearm during the drug transaction and attempted to rob Holmberg and Fitterer Usher. At this point, Fitterer Usher fired, killing the victim. When Holmberg and Fitterer Usher drove away, they left an actual trail of blood on the roadway caused by the victim's body hanging out of the car. while they drove away from the shooting scene. During the investigation into Holmberg and Fitterer Usher, the DEA located the Snapchat moniker of Pac-Man 2021, through which the DEA and United States Postal Inspection Service identified the drug organization the Fetty Bros, which was a group of young men from Tacoma, as the primary source of supply to Holmberg and Fitterer Usher. Among other things, a number of suspicious packages were sent from the same Tacoma post office to Holmberg's home. This was the post office that the Fetty Bros frequented to send other packages containing drugs to Spokane, Alaska, and Arizona. According to court documents, there was also an informant involved in this case. Quote, a cooperating source also confirmed that the Fetty Bros drug trafficking organization had supplied Holmberg and Fitterer Usher with fentanyl. This source further confirmed that the Fetty Bros obtained large shipments of pills from a transnational cartel, end quote. During the spring and summer of 2021, Hunter Bo O'Mealy, age 19, Caleb Ryan Carr, age 23, and Matthew Gudino Pena, age 21, aka the Fetty Bros, used Snapchat and other social media to locate a source of supply originating in Mexico. The group traveled to Arizona and beyond to obtain deadly fentanyl pills and other drugs in 10,000 pack quantities and poured those drugs into the Spokane community and others. As they did so, defendants engaged in a violent lifestyle without remorse or concern for the impact of their actions on their communities or on those who used their deadly drugs. Throughout, defendants engaged in additional offenses to build their organization and conceal their crimes. Defendants Carr and O'Mealy, for example, illegally transported immigrants across the border to fund their narcotics purchases from a transnational cartel. Defendants even involved a minor in transporting and shipping their fentanyl-laced drugs and utilized other Fetty Bros, including defendant Matthew Gudino Pena, to act as a security detail for their drug shipments. While immersed in this violent conspiracy, the organization amassed numerous firearms, including switches to convert their guns into fully automatic weapons. Then, to conceal their illegal conduct, defendants Carr and O'Mealy set up a luxury clothing brand to launder their drug proceeds. As it became clear that law enforcement may be tracking them, defendants fled to Arizona and attempted to obtain fake identifications to escape to Mexico. While in Arizona, defendants continued to amass firearms inside a housing complex comprised of mostly college students and located next to the University of Arizona campus. The defendants were arrested in October of 2021 in Arizona. During the investigation, law enforcement recovered large quantities of various types of narcotics from members of the trafficking organization. Narcotics that were seized during vehicle stops, package seizures, the execution of several search warrants, and a controlled buy. Most of these drugs were seized from August through September of 2021. As a reminder, the two Coeur d'Alene deaths were in May of 2021 and they were arrested in October. So this investigation moved pretty fast. But a closer review at the timeline of this investigation may shed some light on who this Coeur d'Alene informant may possibly be. Because on August 12th of 2021, Kara Kernodle, the mother of victim Xana Kernodle, caught 2 felony drug trafficking charges. This is just before the investigation into the Fetty Bros was really heating up, including a major bust on August 18th, just 6 days after Kara's arrest. On August 23rd, it looks like Kara was ordered into the custody of the sheriff, and I have to wonder if this is to exchange information or possibly set up a controlled buy with the Fetty Bros who were suspects at the time. The fact that Kara Kernodle is in custody on drug trafficking charges during the investigation into this organization and in the same location where the investigation was initiated, coupled with the fact that her sentencing was postponed until November 17th of 2022, just 2 weeks after the Fetty Bros sentencing, strongly suggests that Kara is in fact the informant referenced in the court documents. Now, the Fetty Bros decided to plead guilty in May of 2022. A sentencing memorandum was filed on October 19th, 2022, and they were officially sentenced on November 2nd of 2022. O'Malley and Carr were sentenced to 240 months, which translates to 20 years, and Budina Pena to 196 months, which is about 16 years, for their respective roles in the conspiracy. But this is federal prison, so I do believe they have to serve at least 80% of that. So these guys are going away for a pretty long time. The sentences were announced in a DOJ press release dated November 4th of 2022, just about a week before the King Road massacre. Okay, so putting this all together, the Fetty Bros are from Tacoma, Washington, the same city where Jesse James Bailey and the Aryan Gang drug trafficking organization was operating until that mass indictment in March of 2023. Among those indicted were people from both Washington and Arizona. It's reasonable to deduce that this operation came in and took over after the Fetty Bros were arrested in October of 2021. Furthermore, if you'll recall that Demetrius Robinson, close associates with Emma Bailey, is also from Tacoma. Robinson is known to sell drugs with Bailey in the Moscow community, and his name has been associated with these murders. Emma Bailey and Demetrius Robinson were arrested in Centralia, Washington, which is in the Tacoma area, back in March of 2023 on charges associated with the fentanyl overdose death of U of I student Caden Young when they were on spring break in the Seattle area. The two spent, I believe, a couple months behind bars, but they were eventually let out and these charges were dropped. Probably because they likely became informants and snitched on Jesse James Bailey, as this major drug bust was just a week after the two were arrested in the Tacoma area after Caden Young's death. So this points to a connection between Demetrius Robinson and the Aryan family prison gang. So we have all of these associates in Tacoma, Washington, involved in drug trafficking. The Fetty Bros sentenced to decades in prison, and if Kara is the informant, which the dates seem to point to the fact that she is, a pretty good case for revenge could be made. And this is why I think that Xana was targeted. But this is just one of various motives, and I intend to break down the other two motives that were put on the table by Pavarotti in the coming weeks. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll talk to you next week.